Hey y'all, welcome back to Katie on the Flip Side. It is another Thursday and I hope y'all have had a fabulous week. I wanted to start out by asking you, are you trusting yourself? We talked about this a few weeks ago. If you missed that video, go watch it. How important it is to trust yourself in order to regain your confidence, to feel better, to just like live your best life. It's a major realization that I've had recently. Let me just say, it's hard sharing all of this with the entire world as I'm going through it. It's scary to put things out there, which thankfully I have been super incredibly supported by all of you guys, and you just really don't know how much I appreciate that. But I think there are some things that I kind of like dance around when I'm talking about them and don't really want to exactly explain exactly what's going through my head for fear of people being like, oh my gosh, you're so weird. Why do you think that? Or that's totally wrong. Or you need to just like go ahead and just take a seat because none of this makes any sense and nobody cares. And that's part of the problem. So let me just kind of try to explain what I'm saying here. I think as I was thinking about making this video today, I thought, you know, I'm probably the only person that thinks this way. And then I had to like smack myself upside the head and be like, really? Okay, if somebody has a thought, it is highly unlikely that nobody else in the world has the same thought. So the main underlying basic premise here is super simple, and most of you are going to be like, yeah. Nobody else is responsible for your happiness but you. Had you told me this 3-4 months ago, I would have been like, well, yeah, of course. But I mean, what about the fact that other people are doing things that don't make me happy? Or what about the fact that this isn't right? Or this person is all the things. And I talked a lot about my realization in the When You Can't Trust video, but just to kind of go a little deeper into what's kind of going on in my brain, some of it kind of goes back to the boundary thing I talked about at the beginning, and not just boundaries as in telling somebody no when you don't want to do something, or you know, those types of things, but the separation of yourself from another person. So a boundary being the line where you stop and another person begins, and how boundaries a lot of times get crossed over each other. Opinions, thoughts, feelings, all of that can get so interwoven with other people sometimes that it makes it really hard to tell who you are and where you fit, what is your responsibility. So let me just give you a little example of a funny little Instagram skit that Cullen was showing me the other day. So it was a girl laying in bed next to the guy that's in bed with her, and they're laying there watching TV, and she's like got her arms crossed, and it's like her inner monologue, and she's sitting there being like, oh my gosh, this is so ridiculous. He never pays any attention to me. He doesn't care anything about me. I'm sitting here trying to like look cute, and all he cares about is he's watching TV, or he was flipping through his phone or something, and I can't believe that he doesn't think I look good, and he obviously thinks I'm too fat, and he doesn't like my hair color. She's going through all these things in her head of why this guy doesn't like her, and then she looks over and he's like on his phone scrolling, and she's like, he's probably looking at some pretty girl on Instagram that looks better than me. And then she like and throws the covers off and gets up, and she's like, you're such a jerk. And he's like, what? You know, like, what just happened? I was just sitting here, and then it plays his inner monologue, and he's like singing the jingle to some random TV commercial, not even thinking about any of this stuff. And it was so funny because when Cullen showed me that a couple days ago, I was like, this is so exactly what I'm talking about right now. There's actually another one that popped up that he showed me about recently related to fish tanks, which I was like, I can totally relate with this girl. But she's sitting on the couch, and he's over like looking at his fish tank or something, and she's sitting there, and he's just totally engrossed in all this fish tank stuff. So her inner monologue is going, and she's like, our marriage is just basically over. Like, he doesn't ever talk to me anymore. And here it is, Friday night, and we've been on a great date night, and he's just sitting there looking at his fish tank, and I'm sitting over here on the couch by myself, and we used to watch movies together. If that's the way it's gonna be, then this is just miserable, and I'm not happy. And I don't know. This is probably more extreme than it was, but it was along these lines. And then it shows his inner monologue, and he's like, well, we gotta make sure the pH is balanced with the nitrates. And like, he's literally just thinking about his fish tank. And he's not thinking, hey, I don't love her, so I'm gonna go play with my fish tank. So the point of all of that basically is just that is kind of the way that I realized I was thinking, but on an even more extreme level. This really sounds kind of weird, and I've been really, like I said, I've been just kind of afraid to even try to explain this, because for one, I don't think it's gonna make sense to anybody, and for two, I think y'all are gonna think I'm crazy, and for three, I think Colin's gonna think I'm crazy because I haven't even totally really talked to him about this yet. I think maybe one way to explain it is that I had a hard time separating myself from other people. And I've talked a little bit about this, but I don't know that I've quite explained it right. It's not just that I wanted to make all my decisions to make other people happy. It wasn't just about me and what my decisions were, but it was, I say is because it is a process and I'm working on it. It's almost feeling like other people's decisions and actions are mine. That sounds even weirder than it actually is in my head. It's not like I think that if Cullen decided to go rob a bank or something, then that would be something that I would have to do too. And it's not that I would feel like I actually robbed the bank, but it almost kind of is the second thing. It's like I was taking so much responsibility for other people's actions that it affected me like deep down to the core of my soul when something wouldn't go the way that I thought it should go, if that kind of makes sense. And it's not that I wanted to be the one to decide how everything went, or that I wanted to be the one to make things go a certain way, but it was that it was almost like hurtful to me if somebody else did something wrong. I don't even know if this is making sense. And I guess I kind of like, I hope it makes sense to y'all, but I really don't care, because this is really basically my personal journal and I'm just kind of letting y'all watch it. And I want to look back on this and remember these feelings, because I'm trying to make such a change that I won't ever feel this way again. So as you can imagine, this caused a lot of tension and stress and like mental just frustration for me personally, which would obviously come out towards other people, towards the kids, towards Cullen, towards other family members, friends, whoever. And it was just very isolating and stressful. Like I don't know if any of y'all have experienced this, you'll know what I mean. But I would find myself getting so frustrated with anything that anybody else was doing that wasn't what I would be doing. Not necessarily what I would be doing, but what I thought they should be doing, I guess. And like I said, this is a process, and I seriously have to stop myself every day from making comments about things that Cullen is doing, or the kids are doing, or whoever's doing, that aren't the way I would have done them, or aren't the thing I would have done. And I've told Cullen a couple times, I'm like, hey, sorry, I shouldn't have even said that. It's work in progress. I'm trying to get better about this. But I guess an example would be if it is time for the kids to go to bed, and I think that they should be going upstairs to bed right now, and Cullen decides he's gonna go put the dirty dishes from the sink into the dishwasher before they go up, or before he takes them up, or whoever, then to me, in my mind, I was like, no, that's not what we're supposed to be doing right now, because it was almost, I don't know, y'all, it's really weird. It's just really weird, and I know you're gonna think I'm crazy, but it was, I guess, the feeling of wanting something else to happen in that situation was the feeling as if like somebody was forcing me not to do what I needed to do in that moment, which was 100% not the case. If I say, okay, kids, it's time to go upstairs for bed, which, you know, a lot of times we'll both go up together and whatever, and Cullen starts unloading the dishwasher, to me, it was like, well, then I didn't need to be taking the kids up right now. Then I needed to hang on a minute and like wait until he got done loading the dishes, when I could have made my decision to go upstairs and do what I needed to do by myself. So then I'd be like, well, why are you putting the dishes in the dishwasher? Well, because I was just helping clean up the kitchen. Well, I said it was time for the kids to go to bed. I don't know, y'all. This is all just really, really new to me, and it's like a really weird thing to be sharing right now, because I feel like a crazy person telling you all this. And I will not say that this is 100% of any problem that we've had in our relationship. There's definitely some other things we're working on and things that are issues. But for me personally, a lot of my issues with our relationship, with my relationship with myself, with my relationship with anybody else, is related to this, and is related to somehow the fact that I get so overwhelmingly emotionally, mentally involved with other people's decisions and other people's actions that it feels like it's actually me. Is something wrong with my head? I don't know. Probably. But I will say that breaking that thought process has been incredibly freeing and incredibly just like mind-blowing. Being able to detach myself from what other people are doing or what other people's actions are, decisions are, and knowing that I'm the only one responsible for my happiness and I should be able to function whether somebody else does what they're supposed to do or not. Just because somebody else isn't following through and doing what they're supposed to do, that doesn't mean that I'm irresponsible or whatever the consequences of somebody else's actions are. And as things got more stressful in our relationship, and as we were kind of distancing ourselves from each other emotionally, I found myself thinking, well, it's his responsibility to say nice things to me, to let me know that I look nice, or he likes my outfit, or he likes what I'm doing, or he's proud of me. And yes, as a spouse, obviously that is important. It's a, words of affirmation type thing. You do want to build each other up, and you don't want to bring each other down, but that shouldn't be the only thing that you rely on to make you happy. Your happiness is you accepting that you like your outfit, that you like what you're doing, that you're proud of yourself, and anything that your significant other or a family member or your friend says to you would just be icing on that cake to help you kind of reinforce those beliefs, but you have to believe them deep down yourself first. And I think I was sitting there relying on Cullen or anybody else to tell me the things that I needed to believe and know and accept myself and come to terms with in my own mind. That is a lot of weight to put on another person, because they can't change you. They can't change the way you look. If they don't like the way you look, if they don't think that they are proud of what you're doing or think that your actions are the way that they should be, they shouldn't be responsible for, one, having to change that, or for two, having to fake it and tell you that they do. So when I find myself thinking that I'm not good enough, that I don't like the way I look, that I'm not happy with the way that I'm doing something, I have to think about, what is the reason why I'm thinking that? Is it because I think that somebody else thinks that? And that has been definitely the case a lot of the time. It's one of the things that I'm certainly trying to overcome. Or is it because I don't like it personally myself? And I'm trying to transition my mindset from being so concerned about what other people think and making sure that I believe and trust myself in those different areas. If the reason that I feel like I don't like the way I look is because I think that other people are judging me, or Cullen doesn't like it, or whoever doesn't like it, then that's going to be harder for me to overcome, because I can't change their mindset and I can't read their mind. And my perception on every different situation that I've been in and go throughout my day in the past several weeks has totally changed by focusing on knowing that I'm okay myself and that I'm doing what I need to do. Not necessarily worrying that if I don't do this way, then it's going to affect this person. If this person doesn't do this way, it's going to affect me. Just because somebody isn't doing something the way that I want them to doesn't mean that I'm a bad person, doesn't mean that I shouldn't be happy, doesn't mean that they don't like me. Just because I'm laying in bed next to Cullen and he doesn't put his arm around me doesn't mean that he doesn't love me. And by me, like, whether it's direct or indirect, putting the pressure on him that I'm feeling that way, that I'm feeling like, well, you don't love me because you didn't put your arm around me, and he's in a whole different place in his head, that puts him in a weird position, and it gets him like, well, I can't be responsible for making you happy all the time. Like, yes, I'm your husband, but I can't be responsible for that. And that is not something he's ever said to me, but it's something that maybe he should have said. I don't know. But I probably would have taken it personally and been like, yes, it is. That's what we got married for. So you can put your arm around me and give me some love, right? So if you find yourself thinking, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not whatever enough, think about whether it's because you think that or whether it's because you think somebody else thinks that. And if it's because you think somebody else thinks that, well, their opinion is none of your business. Like, if that's their opinion, then okay, but find ways to ensure that you are confident because you think the things that you think. If you're just continuing to beat yourself up because of what you think other people think, or because things in your life aren't going exactly the way that you thought they would, you are missing out on a ton of happiness and a ton of moments and a ton of amazing things that you could really be enjoying. It will weigh you down like crazy because it is something that you can't do anything about. And when you're basing all of your opinions of yourself on what you think other people think, then your goal is going to almost be to change what other people think, which gets you in a cycle of wanting to change what other people do and how other people live so that they can think differently about you. And that's not right for anybody. If you are struggling with this, when you can accept yourself the way you are, learn to make decisions based on what you know, what you think, and trusting yourself, your life will change so much. The things you do, the way you act, your opinions, your thoughts, your decisions in life are between you and God, unless you are a minor child and your parents do have some rule over what you do and what you say and where you go and all those types of things. But in general, your emotions, your feelings about yourself, all of those things have to come from within. And through a lot of prayer and reading different books and listening to different people's advice and coaching on this, I feel like I have been able to change my mindset so much. It has changed the way that I interact with Cullen. It's changed the way I interact with my kids. It's changed the way that I interact with everybody that I come in contact with, basically, because I'm not standing there thinking like, oh, what do they think that I should do? And like, what should I do based on what this person is doing? And like, well, why are they doing that? Because that is not the way you're supposed to do it. You know, that is their deal. And it has no reflection on me whether somebody makes a good or bad decision. So accept yourself for who you are. Where you are right now may not be where you want to be, may not be where you need to be, but it is what it is. It is where you are right now. And if you want to be somewhere else, if you want to be in a different place, mentally, physically, emotionally, business-wise, figure out a plan, figure out what you need to do to get to that point. But know that right now you are where you are, and anything that you do want to change is most likely not something that you can change overnight. You can start working towards it. But right now, you have to accept that you are where you are and you're there for a reason. It's going to change. It's hopefully going to change. Hopefully it's going to change for the better. I don't think there's anybody out there that would be like, I'm perfectly happy with my life exactly where I am and I don't want to grow or learn anything new. Now, if you are, then good for you. Enjoy your life. The world continues to change, and so let me know how that goes for you. But everybody is growing and changing and learning new things every day, and you have to be able to accept where you are in the present and just work towards the things you want in the future. That's what gives you the joy and the hope and the confidence that you're doing the best you can. But you can't do it alone. You can't just sit there and say, okay, I'm going to change my life, and then not tell anybody, not talk to anybody about it, not listen to any inspirational things that you need to hear along the lines of what you're trying to change, not talk to God about it, not, read scriptures or whatever it is that you use for your type of religious portion of your life. Maybe you're not religious at all, then, read some books, look at some other things. There's books and literature and exciting, fun, funny, serious, solemn, upbeat, every different variety of self-help book out there of like how to change your business, how to change your life, how to start this. You just have to get a plan, and you have to be able to accept where you are. And trust yourself. Trust that you are making the best decisions you can in the moment. That is how you will ensure that you're happy. That is how you will stop putting pressure on other people to feel responsible for your happiness. Nobody should feel like because they tell you no, then they've ruined your entire week and life is not going to go on for them, and that you should feel guilty about that too. If somebody tells you no, you got to accept it and you got to move on to the next thing. You can't allow yourself to wallow in the unhappiness and the disappointment of somebody else's actions, of somebody else's decisions, and of something that somebody else either does or won't do that you want them to do. This all fires me up a really lot, and I hope it makes some sense to y'all. I hope that this means something to y'all, and I hope that some of y'all will get something out of this. Like I said, it is a work in progress for me. It's just changed my life so much that I have to share it. And if this is something that you deal with and you're able to appreciate the shift in mindset or be able to work towards a shift in mindset for yourself, I would just love to hear how much it's changed your life too. Like I've said a million times, y'all are probably tired of hearing me say it. The first book I read that really opened my eyes was Rachel Hollis's book, Girl Wash Your Face, and it talks a lot about the lies that we believe about ourselves, why they're not true, and how we need to move on in our lives. So if you feel like some of this applies to you, if you feel like you kind of need to like think about some of these things, read that book, download it, put it in your ears and listen to it while you're doing the dishes or while you're cleaning up after your kids go to bed or whatever you need to do around the house. But don't just sit there and be unhappy because somebody else isn't making you happy. Nobody else can make you happy or make you unhappy. Nobody else can make you mad or make you upset. You allow other people to make you that way. You allow their actions to influence your mood and how you go about your day. So y'all, trust yourself. You're doing the best you can. Leave me some comments below. Let me know how this is going for you. Have you been trusting yourself? What have been challenges for you? What have been things that you've struggled with that you can't get past? Roadblocks that you've come into that you're stuck at? What are some of those things? What are some that you've gotten over and been able to accomplish and challenge and get through? Share it so the rest of us can see and know and have some inspiration for ourselves. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you listening to all this and being here with me through this. It really means a lot to me, and I love you all, and I will see you Sunday night for a live stream on my channel, 9 p.m. Central Time. See you then.